Good evening, everyone. We're getting ready to get started here in just a moment. If you could all find a seat. Thank you. Wow, you guys got quiet quick. No rowdy crowd tonight. We're all going to be peaceful and nice to each other. I like it. Want to get started, ladies? Ready? Thank you guys for performing so lovely. It's always a good problem to have when you have to get more chairs out. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Laura Pratt. I'm just so honored. First of all, I can't believe the crowd. So thank you guys so much for coming out. There are a lot of lovely ladies around here wearing these nice shirts, Appalachians at work, and we've been hoping for your turnout like this and just working so hard, and I'm just so thankful for you. Just wanted to introduce us. I had a little pressure to me. She's trying to set me up for failure already. That's okay. So we're Appalachians at Work. We were founded right here in Weston, thanks to Andrea here. We started with a desire to start a grassroots effort on a nonpartisan level to organize and assist our community how we can during the changes that are occurring in our state, but more specifically in our local communities. Change is not always bad, it's not always good, but we can form together to be informed and assist in the transitions, fill in the gaps if we can for our neighbors. And our first mission is this tonight, this town hall, to educate our community on important information that affects many lives and give you all an opportunity to have a voice as well. We're not here to push a political agenda. We're here to share information, ask questions, and create a space for thoughtful conversation. Our goal is to empower you with knowledge so you can make informed decisions and feel more confident participating in the democratic process and collaborating within our community. We've invited a few speakers here this evening that have taken time out of their busy schedules to break things down in a clear and concise way for us to all understand. We really appreciate them. Andrea's going to be doing that here in a minute. But at this time, I'd like to introduce Andrea Gum-Vincent, the lady who started this group with a passion for her community, who's been working tirelessly to get this to all come together. And look at the fruit of your labor, Andrea. Visionary for this organization, and we're just so thankful for her and all of you coming out tonight. So I'm going to pass the mic to Andrea, and thank you guys. I hope this is a great night.
All right, we are going to a prayer. We have Bruce Macbeth here. He's going to lead us in a prayer to start everything off.
Let us pray together. God our Father, you led people into this land and out of conflict created in us a love of peace and liberty. We have failed you by neglecting rights and restricting freedoms. Forgive pride that overlooks national wrong and justifies injustice. Forgive divisions caused by prejudice or greed. Have mercy, God, on the heart of this land. Make us compassionate, fair, and helpful to each other. Raise up in us a right patriotism that sees and seeks the nation's good. Great God, we thank you for this land so fair and free, for it is worthy aims and charities. We are grateful for people who have come to our shores with customs and accents to enrich our lives. You have led us in the past, forgiven evil, and lead us in time to come. Give us a voice to praise your goodness in this land and a will to serve you now and always. Almighty God, judge of nations, make us brave to seek your will in this land that you have given to us. Lest in our political actions we neglect those things which belong to your glory. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
All right, we're going to do the national anthem. If everybody would please stand. We have the 8th band. All right.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare of hope's bursting in air came through the night that our flight was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ava, everybody. And thank you so much. Ava, thank you so much to the Ava Family Band for performing for us. Personally, for caring enough about your community, for showing up tonight. I just appreciate you being here. We have some organizations here that we just wanted to say thanks for coming. We have the Lewis County Democratic Women's Club in the corner. We have the Poor People's Campaign. We have Moms Rising. I think we have some information back there from Lewis Bennett Public Library. Am I missing any other?
United Way.
Okay, and the United Way. Now, we want to make it clear that
FRN as well.
FRN, yes, they could not be here, but they brought a bunch of their, brochures and information, education to just let everyone know what good they're doing in our community. They could not be here. The Republican Executive Committee, is anybody here for them? Thank you. Right, so we invited several organizations, all kinds of organizations, and thank you for the ones who actually showed up tonight. We appreciate it. And helping our community. We'd like to welcome our guests. We want to say hello and welcome our new Lewis County Clerk, Becky Carter is here. And she's going, if you have any questions, she's going to help you through the process. If she doesn't know, she'll find it out for you, but we are very excited to have her as our new clerk. We also have some of our representatives showed up, but we do have one of the governor's field representatives here in attendance tonight, Pamela Krasinski. We have Agnes Queen here. We have Sheriff Mickey Metz. We have LJ McHugh and Bryson Williams, who are our magistrates. We have Mike Colvin, Bailey, and Johnny White from the Board of Education. We have Ron Norman, Commissioner. We have Ray Smith, who's the Economic Development Authority. And we have Sherry Rogers, who is our city councilwoman. All right, I'm going to talk about somebody else for a minute. When we were planning this town hall, we thought, well, we need someone that everyone looks up to for any kind of information, who we know is going to be for the people, and everyone said Agnes. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Agnes. If you know, she is quite the woman. She's County High School and college, where she majored in business. And later she earned certification as a radio marketing consultant, which helped her become one of the top senior account executives for West Virginia Radio Corporation. Then, her successful election to the Lewis County Commission, she attended the West Virginia University Leadership Academy, receiving the highest merit award. In 2006, her deep love for Lewis County inspired her to run for public office. She currently serves, this is quite a list, so I'm going to try my best here. And my stuff's moving all around. Okay. 1 second. She currently serves as she has extensive involvement, including serving on the board of directors, as chairperson of Region 7 Planning and Development Council, Lewis County Commissioners Association of West Virginia, the West Virginia Association of Counties. She's also a board member of the Lewis Economic Development Authority, the West Virginia Prosecuting Attorneys Institute, the West Virginia Courthouse Facilities Improvement Authority, and the West Virginia Public Health Advisory Committee. She really is. Additionally, we're not finished. She serves on the West Virginia Property Evaluation and Procedures Commission, appointed by the governor, and is a member of the National Association of Counties Telecommunications and Technology Policy Steering Committee, the National International Economic Development Task Force, and the Rural Action Caucus, representing small counties across the United States. Throughout numerous accolades from the governor's award for volunteer services from Lewis County, the state of the West Virginia University Community Leadership Academy Champion Award for Outstanding Advocacy and Highest Merit, and Lewis County Chamber Member of the Year Award in 1999. She was also one of West Virginia's Wonder Women and featured in the October 2015 issue of West Virginia Focus magazine in the article entitled West Virginia Women, Hear Them Roar. All right, so she is quite the lady. She's married to Mike, and they have one son, Brandon, who is to Wesleyan College in Buchanan. We didn't even realize really, like, until I started talking to her and she started telling me, like, well, I know this, well, I know this, and all this information she started giving me. I was just like, oh my gosh, we don't realize just what we have in Lewis County. And we have something for you, Agnes. You are our first community champion. You will receive our first community champion award presented to Agnes Quinn, and it says, this award, this award honors individuals who go above and beyond to serve and uplift everyone in their community. And without further, here is the woman herself.
Good evening, everyone. Great to see such a large crowd. So hopefully we have people here that will be able to answer questions that we have here. So what we're going to do is if you agree with the question, you turn to green. If you don't agree, you turn red. So we're not going to be screaming and yelling and being disrespectful to each other. We're just going to use the card, okay? We don't want to throw it at anybody either. We're just going to use the card. But we're going to be a peaceful, we're all working together. The whole community. Okay, all right.
And we do have live streams going on, so just a couple housekeeping. We do have live stream going on Facebook and YouTube. So, we want to be able to allow everyone the opportunity to hear what's being asked and said. So,
And they picked out several different questions. There were a lot of questions. I don't know how many questions ended up being 100, right?
Actually, we're on 103 there. We stopped. Yeah.
They stopped collecting like 100 questions. So those are online, right? They can see those online. There's a link that they'll able to share out so that you can see some people who could not be here today because of other obligations have actually sent in some of the responses to those questions. So hopefully you'll be able to see those later on if they're not here. And they did pick out a few questions, so I'm just going to randomly read those out and go from there, okay? And if someone's in the room that can answer that, raise your hand, or if I know that you're with the Board of Education, County Commission, City Weston, or what have you, I'll recognize you, okay? All right, so we have the first question is House Bill 2545, which allows in local care, I don't know what I can say that. What is it? LOCO? Parentis authority. So loco parentis authority should not be legal. I give no other person the responsibility of standing in the place of a parent, guardian, or custodian in exercising authority over the school. This grants someone else, maybe a literal stranger, thinks that they have the authority to lay hands on our children at any time. See fit. This is barbaric and cruel. What are you going to do to protect our children in the care of adults? And we do have someone here who wants to speak. Samantha, we have Samantha, Roberto, Montos, I told you I was gonna say them. Rivero, Montos.
So, if anybody saw me come in with a giant stack of papers, I swear I'm not gonna read through all of them, okay? I have it.
Real question. So is green for, green, you agree with this policy, or red, you don't agree with this policy?
I think you need to explain a little bit more for the,
Yes.
I know what it is, but for the
Other people, okay. And we'll have some of the people who might be able to answer that question, but we're gonna have Samantha, we do have another person who sent a response as well.
That, was not my specific question. So is the 2458, is that in reference to, the corporal punishment?
Yes.
Is that what that was?
Yes.
I also blatantly disagreed with that as a special needs parent, but, I don't think it went anywhere. I think it got dropped. Is there anybody that knows that for sure?
Can't hear you in the
That's
back.
So, we were just talking that, I believe that got dropped. I don't think anything happened with it. Fortunately, in, the legislature this year, of course, whether they could take it up again later is something else, but that was certainly something that I was, concerned about as well. So a little bit about me. I lived in, Weston almost my entire life, a couple years in Morgantown for my husband to go to college, and that was it. LCHS graduated 2007. I worked as the treatment coordinator at the 18th Judicial Circuit, which is the Day Report Center, DRC, Community Corrections. Everybody knows us by different names. So the main reason that I tell you that is because we came back to Weston. I want to be in Weston. I want to be in Lewis County. I want my kids to grow up here, and I want this place to be better. I think that we always have room for improvement, and I think that we have a lot of room for improvement right now. I am the mom to two young boys. Autism. Oscar is also diagnosed with intellectual developmental disability, or IDD. They both have ADHD. They're both considered nonverbal. So, in advocacy and learning how to navigate IEPs and things like that in the school system, I was appointed by Governor Justice to the West Virginia Developmental Disabilities Council. I was also appointed onto the West Virginia Advisory Council for the Education of Exceptional Children. So the question that I had submitted was in reference to Senate Bill 199, which did pass and was signed into law by the governor. As some may know, I believe it was the year before last, they passed the 6th through 12th grade, where the teacher has the authority to take a student out of the classroom. Now it goes from federally funded pre-K all the way to 6th grade. So elementary school, you can have a kindergartner that can get kicked out of the classroom for being disruptive. Some of the concerns that I had as a special needs parent, of course, was the conflict that it would have with the IDEA, which is the federal law that protects disability rights for kids. So they do have a disclaimer in what I found to be the latest version of the law, saying that it has to comply with that. The first thing it says is that once the child is kicked out, that they need to have an FBA, and once that FBA is done, which is a functional behavior analysis, if anybody isn't assessment, sorry, if anybody isn't familiar. Once that's done, the kids are supposed to return to the classroom, have 2 weeks to basically prove that they can adhere to this plan and be better. And then if they can't, then they have to get like alternative placement for the child. So as somebody who knows what an FBA is, packet. So this is the brief guide to teach somebody or to guide somebody through how to do an FBA. So an FBA takes a whole lot of time, certain level like psychologists, school system, and questionnaires, there's interviews with parents, there's observations, sorry. And so I guess my question for that is, what in the maybe months that it takes for it to be done? Does that kid have to sit at home? Are they allowed to still be in school? How do they make up for that time? And then when you take a child out of the situation and then return them to school and 2 weeks to kind of prove themselves, are we setting them up for failure? I think any teachers in here can say that when the kids come back from summer break, they're probably really, really rowdy because they've got to get re-regulated and then they come back to the routine. And so those are obviously concerns. The West Virginia Department of Ed puts together a statewide performance plan and annual performance report. And on indicator 5, which is students with IEPs ages 5 in kindergarten through age 21 inside the regular class 80% or more of the day. So that's saying that kids in the school system that have an IEP be in a gen ed classroom for more than 80% of the day. Lewis County did not meet the standard on that. So that means we have too many kids that are not in the gen ed classroom right now. And then we're going to turn around with Senate Bill 199 and take more kids out, not necessarily just kids with IEPs, but there's going to be more kids that are going to be isolated, they're going to be secluded, they're going to be separated from the general education environment, and so that's concerning. And to go off of your question when you say, when are we going to protect the students? So we encountered a situation last year with my oldest son. I won't go into a whole bunch of details. Most people probably know I haven't been super quiet about it, but we realized that there were a lot of issues that we didn't know were issues until we had to face them head on. So like the video camera laws that are supposed to be a great thing and protect the special education students, like one of the things is you have to have an incident to be able to view the videos. So how's my nonverbal child supposed to tell me that there's an incident for me to say, hey, I want to watch the videos because there was an incident, right? So that's a problem in my opinion. And then the law currently says that you can't use that footage for evaluation. And in our situation, we were told that it couldn't be used for discipline. So the things that happened to my son are on camera, the videos exist, and nothing has been done. Those people still teach, some in Lewis County, and we're not doing anything to remedy the problem. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. And so anyways, I just, again, just.
So you have a question for the board members here, is there a question?
It was, yes, it just goes into, what's the plan during the time that we have to wait to have the FBA done? How is that gonna look, and how are we gonna make sure that students aren't kicked out, left alone, however you wanna word that? And I'm so sorry for rambling on and on. Thank you all so much for listening.
Do any of the board members want to respond to that?
Yes, I would like to say something. As you know, sometimes your hands tied when you have a court case and you have, sometimes you have things that you like to see done, but the state does tie your hands. The first is the protection of our children, as I'm sure we all agree. I know a lot of them is still being decided, and there's things that are being done. also, we have an open door that, anybody, has any questions or anything, would be more than glad to step forward, but unfortunately, sometimes when there is an application involved, you cannot, go into the details on that. And I know sometimes it's frustrating for the public, but unfortunately, that's the way it is, so.
Mr. White.
I'm gonna reaffirm what Mike said, none of this is legal action, you can't comment, but this is the early infancy of this bill. So we're working through it within the last week and a half, and this came out. And ALC, when I went around the schools and talked to all the teachers in the county last year, that's what they wanted. They needed help. Not just because of taking an unruly kid out, but the kids that are wanting to learn, take that unruly kid out, put them in a situation, help them, get them back in the classroom. We don't have that right now. We need that right now. Any teacher here going to look around and say to me, that's what they asked, and that's what we need to do. This isn't a punishment for anybody. This is to help all kids. And as far as going back to certain things, this is already an infancy for the ALC through K through 6. But I'd like to add to that, we'll work best within the laws and the priority is the safety of the children at all times.
Thank you. This is working. Where? There it is. Hey, it worked. Okay. So right now, if you agree with what the response was,
But you've got two different bills. So you
I
need
think
to address the first
the
one
first,
was corporate punishment. The second one is this removal of.
Well, we said the first one
the first one didn't go through, so. we're
Right,
gonna-
but that's
Yeah.
Well,
still an issue.
Well, and they can always be reinitiated, which seems to happen a lot, is even when a bill
So which one
turns.
do you want us to
The
address?
one that Samantha had, the second one that they didn't respond to, about the kids from
being
K,
able to remove
the
them
kids
from
from
the
classroom.
So
I think the part that people want to know is, okay, that's great, but what's the plan next? I think that's what everybody is more parent as a teacher. Yeah, well, but I don't want just you taken out of the classroom. We need to talk about what's going on. We need to get to the root of it. We need to give you what you need so that you can come back into the classroom and learn like everyone else. But just removing, that's the thing. There's all these bills without any kind of clarification of what does that look like? What does it look like? How are you going to do that? Are we just going to push that through and, we'll figure it out along the way?
So how are we voting? Make a
right,
statement, then we
do
can vote
you-
yes or no.
All right. Okay, do you all think that children should be removed from the classroom if they are being unruly, disruptive? Let's go with that, because there's two questions here. Okay. All right, now I'm gonna ask you again. What if they are secluded by themselves somewhere in an area outside with no one talking to them about how to survive inside the classroom? Do you agree with that? All right, great. Then what we all agree on is, yeah, they need taken out of the classroom, but we need some kind of education, therapy, some kind of work with the child to help them succeed in the classroom. That's great. Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, great, thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Samantha. I know she's got to run. She's got to get to her, back to her children. Okay, the next question is, what is the Weston City and County of Lewis doing with all these lots where they are tearing down the buildings? Are they going to put them for sale cheap or provide grants for young families having a chance to put a small house on it? Can the city or the county provide incentives to anyone wanting to buy it, that they have to put a house on it within 2 years so that it is developed? Yeah, said this. We have Councilwoman Rogers going to speak.
Okay, so I did write some thoughts on this. Forgive me for reading, but I do apologize for that. I'm afraid I'll forget something. Yep. Okay. to know that when the city tears down a house, we don't automatically own the land in some cases. In some cases, the house has become unsafe to live in, and we've asked the property owner to either fix it up or tear it down themselves. When they don't, the city steps in to demolish it and then sends the property owner the bill. If they don't pay, then a lien goes on the property, which means they can't do anything with that property, meaning sell it, until the debt is settled. Sometimes owners decide it's not worth holding on to the property and they offer to donate it to the city instead of paying the lien, and we're open to that. And oftentimes, we have some very feasible outcomes to those situations. But you can never force someone to hand over their land, of course. Over the past few years, the city's torn down more than 30 buildings. About a third of those properties ended up in city ownership. Some of those properties are really not suitable for a new build. However, they do make wonderful side yards for existing properties. We do have some folks interested in those properties to expand their lawns and just help increase curb appeal for their neighborhood, but also add a little play yard or a garage for their home. So those have been very successful. So what does the city do with land it owns? The state law, of course, dictates what we do with those properties. We can transfer it to another public agency or a nonprofit at a low cost, or we can sell it at public auction to the high bidder. Now, oftentimes, I can tell you that some of our bad actors in the city of Weston who own property are from out of state. They've never even seen the property. They've purchased it from the courthouse for back taxes or whatnot. They do not make improvements. They don't even mow the lawns. So if we were to auction those properties off, we have just made a big circle and offered it up to the possibility of another bad actor. Whereas if it goes to an agency, which we have created the land reuse agency, then we can be more selective as to who we sell the property to. We can then sell that property to investors, to families who want to build. Actually, that was a really good suggestion that they had about having a program for folks, local folks to build, and I will certainly take that back to the city. So right now, the land reuse is reviewing proposals from developers for a few key sites on South Main and West 2nd Street. Also, I can tell you that since we've started this demolition project through grants, of course, the past 3 or 4 years, we have had individuals who have also torn down dilapidated homes and have started to rebuild on those properties. So it's been very successful. Did I explain that to you guys?
Yes.
Does anyone?
Thanks, Sharon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so did you agree with our response? Green. Red if you did not. Okay. And the county is, Ron, did you want to take this part of it for the county? Or do you want me to speak? What we're doing for the dilapidated structures, because we are also tearing down those buildings now. So it's for Rod to give him a chance to speak.
Yeah, we just started the Safe Sites Instructors Committee, which is going to pretty much do what the city is doing outside the city limits. We have 5 meetings as of now, and we'll be tearing down in the next 6 months. And there's 7 more to go into the system for the county. We tend not to find the people and nobody gives us the property or pay us back the cost of what they cost of everything. So we're in there with it, and we're gonna try to tear down as many grants as they can, and everything we can to
Makes the place look a whole lot better. I'm good, thank you.
So So do you all agree with what Commissioner Wyman said or disagree? Okay, fantastic. All right, great. So we're going to move on. Next question. Regarding Senate Bill 196, increased sentencing for drug offenders. Question, has there been any cost-benefit analysis to compare the long-term financial impact of this bill versus investing in recovery and prevention programs? As someone who lives in West Virginia, I have seen the toll that substance abuse takes, but also the power of recovery. When we have access to resources, incarcerating people longer without addressing root causes risks overburdening county budgets and jail systems that are already stretched thin. I'd appreciate knowing more about the legislation, what the legislation will do, how the legislation will be funded, and whether the treatment-based alternatives are evaluated as more effective or more substantial option. And we do have sheriff in the room. We have a couple of magistrates. Mr. Sheriff, would you like to take this on, Mr. Metz?
Thank you.
You got the hand, Mr. Metz.
Yeah. So that particular bill is a little vague when they talk about increasing penalties for drugs. It doesn't specify. I mean, I'm not hearing what drugs, what type of drugs that these penalties are going to be increased on. I believe that you can't just arrest your way out of this drug problem. So it has to be handled in a few different ways. I mean, obviously you go after the dealers that are getting people hooked. Those are the important ones to get off the street. The users, we do have to find resources, and that's something we have been working on to get them into programs. Some of like our home confinement program, we work with them to get them into programs, get them help, try to get them off the drugs. So, but the penalty part of it, I don't know what they're like. The fentanyl right now is a bad issue. We've took 3,300 fentanyl patches out of the county just recently on bust, and this fentanyl is bad. So it's not like it just takes one time to get them hooked on it. So this is the penalties on it. If you're dealing with fentanyl, I'd like to see stiffer penalties on the fentanyl because of what it's doing to the public. But when someone comes in, and we've talked to a lot of people that need help, that want help, we got to find them the resources to give them help with their users.
We're going to let the magistrates also speak on that, and then we'll get your question.
I'd just like to also first say that as a magistrate, we can't particularly comment on the legislation, but I will tell you that Magistrate McHugh, and he's given me permission to speak for him. So we both utilize those programs that were discussed earlier, and I think that Magistrate McHugh and myself are probably some of the only magistrates that actually mandate these defendants to complete treatment programs as part of their conditions of their probation and as part of their bond. So that's something that we really do. When we first sit down with them, that's something that we initially discuss. If someone has a drug-related charge, that's the first thing that we say to them, that we're not here to hurt you right now. We want to help you. So if you need help, let us know. We'll try to figure out how we can do that. And specifically, Samantha was here earlier from the Day Report Center, and they have a good program there to help people get jobs, and a lot of times, and they're the ones who sort of coordinate these rehab facilitations for us specifically. Actually, on our desk right now, we have a list in big red that says Sam's approved list of rehab facilities. So we utilize that pretty often, and that's part of it. We both think that you should give people chances to fix their problems and reintegrate them back into the community. So that's something that we do. And DRC, Samantha, probation, home confinement. All of these people do help us. So I can't particularly comment on the legislation, but I will say that we do utilize these things as part of our jobs as magistrates.
Everybody's green, that's fantastic. And I will also let everyone know that with those three programs, the drug court, community corrections, and the home confinement saved the taxpayers over $4 million last year with those three programs. Great.
All right, everybody. We are so proud to welcome today. We have Zachary Shrewsbury here. He is from Bluejay Rising. Before we introduce Zach, we also want to introduce Brady Reese, which is co-founder of Bluejay. And on the phone, Zach, funny because Zach was like, yeah, you know, Brady does all the behind the scenes stuff, and I'm like the face. So I joked and said, yeah, we assumed that, but Brady, we thank you for all that you do for Bluejay. So, thank you very much. Let's talk a little bit about Zach. Zach Shrewsbury is a community organizer, U.S. Marine Corps veteran, and proud Appalachian dedicated to building power for working class communities. Born and raised in rural West Virginia, Zach served 5 years in the Marine Corps, where he was a member of the security team, FAST, and the 1st Battalion, 1st Marines. Upon returning home, he committed himself to advancing meaningful change across West Virginia and the greater Appalachian region. Zach has large-scale community initiatives that amplify local voices and drive sustainable progress. His work includes managing political campaigns, developing grassroots infrastructure, and championing causes such as renewable energy, voting rights, and labor justice. He is the founder and executive director of Bluejay Rising, a nonprofit organization focused on empowering disenfranchised West Virginians through mutual aid, voter education, and community-based service. A longtime advocate for economic and social justice, Zach ran a grassroots campaign for the U.S. Senate in West Virginia. Today, he continues his work as a community organizer, campaign strategist, and nonprofit leader driven by a deep belief in a future where working people come first. When we were searching for kind of a group, kind of a nonprofit, somebody we really just wanted to feel like we were doing something in this time we're all in now. Zach and Bluejay was the first one that kept popping up. Everything we read about Zach and what he was doing and what he's been doing, which he'll tell you about in a minute. But without further ado, Mr. Zachary Shrewsbury.
First off, thank you all for having me up here. We all should give one more round of applause for my budgeted work for holding this and everything they've been doing here. So round of applause for them. Thank you. So I'm Zach from Bluejay. A lot of the times, the state is not. As you can tell, the state doesn't have any showing up today. So that's what we do. We go in, we find communities, going back to, I've done this before without an organization, just as myself. Starting out with poison water in Minden, West Virginia, I would bring in bottles of water on my truckloads and talk to people about why is no one helping. So moved on to Wyoming County, moved across the state doing mutual aid and harm reduction, helping people find recovery, get recovery. And it's been an ongoing effort that way, with a lot of support from the community, but once again, little response from the state. So we moved into, how do we do this? How do I hold our representatives accountable? Because clearly, none of them listen to us, because they aren't here. I understand there's a lot of Republicans here because they're all elected. If there were Democrats here as well, I'd be calling them out for the same. Why aren't they here? We've experienced that before. So my message here today, I wanted to talk about today, basically, it's a call to action. If you're in West Virginia, ultimately, we are who we have. It's us. We are looking out for each other. But it's not coming here. Now, it's a twofold thing, really. We don't have enough voters in the state. More people have to vote for the correct representation we need. It needs to be working class representation. We need to help people feel comfortable voting, understand where they have to go to do that, and help them get to that point. They know that they can vote for, we need good candidates to vote for. Almost everyone here who showed up because you care about the community, I'm going to say most y'all vote, correct? Yeah? Most yes. So my call to action to you is we have to do an extra step. We have to start engaging our community heavier. We can't just show up and vote at this point and expect change, because the change is empty. The change is going to the border or El Salvador. The change is holding up a dog's ass to the U.S. Senate. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And there's a supporter out there. It's embarrassing. Here we are. We have a feudalistic family. Your local reps aren't here. Surprise. And the governor flood response. Where's that at? So we responded very heavily to the floods in southern West Virginia. We'll give you a story here about how important it is for community members to be involved. When the flood happened, we didn't have time to wait. So on the second day, myself, Brandy, engaged in action, started calling all our volunteer network. All of our volunteers came from my U.S. Senate campaign. How can we start responding? We found a community set. We found a setup. We started bringing supplies. We started bringing supplies from Western North Carolina. We got a chain of volunteers all the way from Pennsylvania, Charleston, North Carolina, Kentucky to come help. So we began running supplies across southern West Virginia, filling the gaps because no one was there. We were starting running water, cleaning supplies. And people started calling my phone, asking me for help, saying, my mother has dialysis, but I can't get her to the hospital because our road is gone. No one's helping me. Our emergency personnel can help me. Can you help me? I'm just a guy, folks. I'm a guy in a truck. Well, where's the response? Where's the help? Then your representatives sit up there in Charleston, don't do anything for the flood, and actually vote it down. There were a few reps that did try to get flood funding. The Democrats tried to put up a bill, a Republican backed it, or a Republican put up his own bill with $100,000. What happened? They cut it due to petty politics. So Southern West Virginia got nothing because we keep electing folks who don't actively believe in us, in our community. So it has to come from us, is my main point. It has to come from everyone here. We have to get more involved in our communities, do mutual aid, join Appalachians at work. We have to start doing more because really, so once again, it comes down to us. And that's a state of affairs. There is. I don't see any other way towards change besides doing mutual aid, caring about others, looking out for each other. And through that, hopefully we have people who want to run for office and get rid of the do-nothings and the people who don't have enough care to show up.
Anybody have any questions about whatever's going on down south, flood relief, anything at all?
I can keep ranting.
The governor's office told me that FEMA came through for the folks down there.
Sure.
And I've seen on Facebook, or they got, a few $100s. So what's really going on? And what did FEMA really do?
FEMA did show up after 11 days. They had a few field reps that walked around trying to find people who to help. FEMA actually reached out to us directly, asking for our list of where to go, what to do. So FEMA did actively try to get involved in communities. I have heard feedback that there wasn't much help they could give because West Virginia is a little bit more of a complicated state. We have so many family homes. The homes are traded there's so much of families. The funding changes differently. Go ahead, Brady. You have one?
I've got to pick now. I'll stand up. FEMA did show up in southern West Virginia, but their hands were tied by some of the policies of the current administration. And it is what it is. It was a bad time. They did contact us, and southern West Virginia is a little bit different for people who haven't been down deep into the coal fields. I live in Mercer County, which is, there's no bad part of West Virginia, in my opinion, but it's a more developed part of the coal fields. When you start going into the nooks and crannies down McDowell County and Mingo County, from West Virginia, which is on the border there in Wayne County, but they still got hit areas in that area. You're going down into like hills and hollers and winding roads behind coal trucks that people can't really find. And you need to understand that there are so many seniors, there are so many people who are disabled who we don't have broadband. We don't have internet. There's so many people who don't even have a house phone, who don't have a vehicle, who don't have a cell phone, who are disabled. They can't get out. So yeah, FEMA showed up, but they showed up in offices in main areas. In Mercer County, they set up in Princeton, West Virginia. That's great. I live just outside of Princeton. My actual address for postal purposes is Princeton, but I live in Athens for 911 purposes. But Princeton's just 6 miles from me. But they set up there, except the flooding didn't happen in Princeton. It happened out in Oakville. It happened in Kellysville. It happened in Kelly's Tank. It happened in Lashmead, Lake Bottom, Lacoka, Nokomis, Montcalm, all the Spanishburg, all these areas that are at least 20 minutes outside of Princeton with people just like what I described that can't even get there. So yeah, in theory, FEMA showed up, but FEMA couldn't really show up. I mean, you understand what I'm saying? They have local contacts, but it's a matter of who's going to get all these people who are impacted. When you've lost everything you've got, you're worried about mucking out your basement so the mold's not growing high. And you've lost everything and you're sleeping on the floor of a church. Are you thinking about going to FEMA and trying to handle that? They need to be coming to the people. It's not honest.
Brandon's over there on the ball, but she's correct. FEMA did show up, they had to do ground crews on the ground, probably they didn't know where to go, they don't know where the haulers are.
And I'm not faulting them necessarily. The people who came from FEMA were very nice. They were very kind. They were out of Chicago. They were out of California. What do they know about the coal fields? Nothing.
How are we going to make our local representatives accountable? I've been really concerned with the vaccination, lifting the requirements for vaccination. I have called, I have emailed, I have never heard from Patrick Martin. I have never heard from Burkhammer, and I can't even remember his name. I'm a teacher, I'm a 77-year-old retired teacher. I just went and got an MMR shot because I went and got blood work and found out, guess what? I am not immune to the measles. We now have cases in Jackson County, in West Virginia, of the measles. But you can't make them accountable because they have this arrogance that they are so much in the majority that our voices don't get heard. They don't answer letters, they don't answer emails, they don't answer calls. What do you do?
So that you will vote now. That's why we made Bluejay Rising and Appalachians to work exist. Getting into these communities and mutual aid, like getting people the help they need, and talk about why you're there. We're helping you because your reps aren't showing up. Who are your reps? I do that for Bluejay Rising. Who are your reps? Why is Burkhammer not here? Why is he addressing your concerns? And then
Martin's president of the Senate.
there you go.
There you go.
So, I mean, but they're used to just phone calls, emails, everything they can ignore. If you start attacking them in their votes, if you start going into the communities, you start supplying the aid, to fill in the gaps where they aren't addressing it, they will start paying attention because now you're affecting them. Now they have to care. And when they do show up, because you're involved in your community, you're out there filling out the gaps. It takes a lot of community action. It's going to take your free time. It is. If you're in there filling those gaps, you're calling out on Facebook, Twitter, whatever the hell else out there, Instagram, that's how you start holding them accountable. Start building up that community pressure on them. They'll show up. They'll want to come here and try to quell down things. Then you hold them accountable again. And you keep that pressure on. We have a bad habit of letting the pressure off. And we need to keep it on. That's what we're trying to do, is we're helping people across this state, but at the same time, it shouldn't be us helping people. It shouldn't be everyone here having to fill the gaps. There shouldn't be gaps in the first place. In West Virginia, we have a lot of gaps, a lot of holes in the ship, and I'm tired of seeing it. Our state suffers because of our state government. It should not come down just working class people to say it, but it does. And that's where we're at. You start holding people accountable, hold their feet to the fire. No niceness. They don't deserve it. They don't deserve it because they aren't here to listen to you.
We're gonna take one more question. Thank you.
I've done a little bit of knocking on doors and stuff at the Capitol over the years. I've been kicked out of offices. But that's what you have to do. You have to show up in person. You have to show up with evidence that you know what you're talking about. Otherwise, they just look at you like you're an idiot. You have to look at them and you have to remind them that we put them in office to represent us, that they're supposed to be working for us, number one. Which is hard to do for a lot of us because most of us are working 2 and 3 jobs, right? And we're trying to make ends meet, but you've got to find a way to show up because if you don't, bodies is what makes them pay attention. And if you don't, if they won't ever look at you, listen to you, or anything. Emails are about useless. Phone calls do work. If you get enough people rallied together.
En masse.
You can make their phone stop working, and that works. They pay attention to that. But my question for you for Southern Virginia, because I'm really concerned about folks down there, and I know some people that grew up down there and some elderly that are down there. I had heard that some funds were given and then they were taken away. And that is really concerning to me. I'm like, how do you get given to help folks and then it gets taken away? Was that true?
You're talking about like state funds?
Yeah, like funds from the federal government.
I don't know funds from the federal government. I have looked it up myself, to be honest with you. I don't know if the funds ever got taken away. I know, I can say for our state, they did try to pass a flood resiliency bill to fund the flood fund. That's one way to say it. But they also, one representative, did try to put $100,000 into Wyoming County, but due to party pettiness, they cut it. Because he didn't vote the way they wanted, the party wanted to. And this is going to be, and that will be both parties, no matter the majority. If you don't play the politics of the parties, they'll ensure that you follow the line. That's a problem that will have to be addressed.
Yeah. This is the thing that really blew me away. I took up a bunch of stuff for North Carolina when that happened down there. In a matter of a few days, we had a U-Haul full of stuff. People were just falling over themselves to give to North Carolina. And then when I tried to get donations for our own state in Southern West Virginia, I got, well, we already donated, or, well, they already received help. It's really sick that a lot of people that I held in high regard, and even churches and places and stuff like that, they didn't care about people in their own states. It really blew me away because it became obvious to me that it was a political bunch of crap. When it should be, we're supposed to be standing up and taking care of our people.
100%. 100%. That's why I say I want to do one more thing before you get rid. That's why it comes down, like I said, it comes down to all of us working together. Whether you're in the community, doing actions, helping people, you also need to find who wants to run for office in your community. It can't be the same people. Not just a Republican or Democrat. Working class candidate who understand your community, what they're doing, independent, third party, whatever have you. Find a person who understands what's going on. If you don't know who I am, I'm very much in left politics. But I know very few good Republicans that want to run for office. And if they did, they'd be great. Because they come from the community, they understand where things are coming from, and they are out there fighting for it. I would back that person because they know what's happening. That's who we need. We need to run for office. Y'all care enough. You understand what's happening here. You have to come from the communities, though. You can't just be who we have now. It's not working, especially at the high levels.
Because if it hadn't been for
25 in Lewis County, but I've done lots of flood cleanup, and I'm happy to, I've donated to you all down there for you.
Thank you.
But I just was reading articles the other night about, there's people that still can't help it, nobody's coming to help them.
Yeah.
So this is what this whole thing is about tonight. We need to take care of each other. And it's not Republican, Democrat, Independent, it's West Virginia.
That's right.
If you love your people and love your state, and you want to know about some people, you get your name, address, back up with me, I'm gonna figure something out, and we'll go walk some mud.
You get it to me, I coordinate, I will find you a place to go and muck if you want to go. Trust and believe, I will put you to work instead of what you do. Because there are hundreds of houses, weeks after the fact, that have not been touched.
I read that, and I'm very sad.
And if you all go look at Cindy Tatum photography,
Yes, exactly.
you need to look at what she is doing. S. Tatum Photography, she is taking pictures weeks after the fact. The response has been abysmal.
And they were told they were allowed to take those photos.
Yes, and that's another thing, not only for the flood day at the Capitol, but for West Virginia Rivers, who gave us a grant to assist in Wyoming County. There was supposed to be a flood day at the Capitol, and Sydney's photos were supposed to be there, and they would not let them bring them. So West Virginia Rivers decided to bring them. They had them on big poster boards, and they were prevented from bringing those into the Capitol. And this is my personal opinion, that the reason they were prevented is because Patrick Morrissey was afraid it would make him look bad. I'm just going to say it. I understand. And they were prevented from bringing those images because they didn't want anybody else to see how poor the response had been.
Let's hear from the governors.
Well, I don't know that, are you on his payroll, ma'am? Are you on the payroll? Okay. I don't know that you know anything about southern West Virginia or the flooding, or that you represent that area. I don't know. I understand you're a field rep. If you know something about it, you are absolutely welcome to talk if you want to respond to it, but you may be only for this area in Lewis County and know nothing about it.
I'm his field rep for North Central, Northern, Central, West Virginia right now.
So not southern.
I am not from the southern part of the state now. But with that being said, I am here taking notes, and I will take back everything that's been said to the office.
Well, that's good. But I don't know what good it's going to do, because so far all he's been interested in is fighting people on Facebook and calling us all liars, so. But, you know, the photographs and everything down in southern West Virginia speaks for itself. I don't care who's in office, the truth's just the truth.
But I'm gonna say something about the picture. I probably shouldn't, but that's Capitol Police. That has nothing.
Give her the microphone, we can't hear.
The officers, Capitol Police have,
They had order from somewhere.
well,
Well, we
I'm just saying Capitol.
We can't hear you.
She said the Capitol Police were the ones in the role about the pictures, not.
The Capitol Police, it's not nothing to do.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, Zach. All right. Thank you, Zach. You will put my arm. All right, we have this question kind of twofold here. It's about southern Lewis County. Hey, I want to make one more. Sure.
I try to pass, but I can't. Capitol Police is not the governor's office. It is. We can debate that. The Capitol Police is not stopping photos showing up. It's photos of flood victims. It's photos of devastation. I can't let it go. So that's the truth.
All right. Okay. So next up, I have a question concerning southern Lewis County. It says, under President Trump, Congress created an emergency broadband benefit program with the goal of helping Americans with broadband connectivity during the COVID pandemic. Under President Biden, the program was given billions of dollars more for funding and helped over 100,000 families in West Virginia connecting to the internet. However, Congress has withdrawn funding for this program when it ran out. In order for West Virginia to be relatively reliably connected with their neighbors and others in the state, we need to be able to keep up with high-tech businesses environment of the 21st century. Are there any I can't find the rest of the question. Okay, my print, oh, sorry. So anyway, so they wanted to know if there's any help or any information that we can be given for what's happening there. And I want to go ahead and read the second part of this question because it kind of all goes together. And the second question was from Southern Lewis County. When is Walkersville phone problem going to get fixed so people with a landline can call someone other than their next door neighbor? Yes. So, and I'll go ahead and take this question because I have been working on the national level to try to fix these problems. The West Virginia did receive 1.2.
For those who don't know, like I didn't know until you told us the other night.
Yes.
Will you tell everybody else what's going on in Walkersville?
Yes. So, if you're not aware, in Walkersville, and this happens frequently with the telephones, internet, everything, they're like a third world country up there, literally. It's really sad and hate it for them. But what's happening is their phones will go out. So if their phones work at all, which most of the time they don't, the citizens up there tell me that they'll flip a coin and pray it lands on heads and the phone will work when they call 911 because their phones just don't work. So what happens is we have to send, when they do actually are able to call their neighbors, they can only call a 452 exchange, which is the Walkersville exchange. So they can call their neighbors and they can call the Walkersville Fire Department. So we have to send 911 dispatchers into Walkersville to sit there until the phones are restored. So that if someone has an emergency, they can call the fire department. Then the fire department can use their radios to dispatch back to Weston to get the help that's needed for individuals who live in those communities. So the problem is that they have copper lines. Their phone lines are copper. And they're outdated when it rains, when the wind blows, it can be sunshine and the phones don't work. So if we can broadband to those individuals who live there, and when I tell them in DC, I said, this doesn't work. It doesn't work in Southern West Virginia. I told them, you're all worried about 10G and AI, and our people are just worried about their landline phones. And I said, I know that, it doesn't mean anything to you all here in DC because you don't understand, because you can call from your phone anywhere. So we have met with the FCC and we're trying to get some things corrected. They were very disturbed, the fact that they couldn't call 911. So hopefully with some of the things that's been coming, I do know that there was $1.2 billion in funds that were coming to West Virginia for broadband. They were getting ready to announce those awards, and we were very hopeful that Southern Lewis County was included in those awards. But right at the minute they were getting ready to announce, they pulled that money back. It's the federal government pulled those funds back. So we're waiting to see what's going to happen if they're going to move forward with us getting those funds or so hopefully we can get funds, because if we can get broadband there, then their telephones will work because they'll have a whole new system. So that's why it's important for these people to get broadband. And I tell them, it's not so much the internet, it's just life or death. Their telephones need to work. So, that's why it's important, and we are working diligently. Our office, our staff, our commissioners, everybody's working trying to get these problems corrected. Unfortunately, we're not the phone company, so we can't, they're a private company. We have no control over the phone company or any utility. Those are the Public Service Commission. But I know they have been reported. The FCC did call, when I was up there in DC, they did call the FCC, called the PSC in Charleston, Public Service Commission. They called them personally and addressed the issue about the the lack of being able to call 911. So they did do that on behalf of Southern Lewis County. The federal government, FCC did, Federal Communication, they did call them. And so hopefully we're going to see some things happen. I do know shortly after that, they did announce that they were basically all fiber has to be replaced throughout the country. So hopefully we'll get the funding to do that. But shortly after that, the FCC did meet, and then they, like I said, they did say they're doing away with all that. So anybody have?
How much the phone bill for Frontier is just for the phone?
No.
$75 a month I've had, just for the phone. That doesn't work all the time.
$75 for phone that doesn't work.
Only the phone. That's no internet, no nothing. Phone, $75 a month.
So can I, just as a clarification, you said that it's the copper line. Is that what they're telling you, or is that?
The phone company says the copper lines.
What's can you be specific?
Frontier.
It's the only one available.
Okay, so Frontier, it's the copper line.
Correct. Because most of their lines are on the ground. They're not even on the poles, they're on the ground. And I actually had the Shelmore Capital staff actually came to town, and we drove the area, and we took the pictures and saw that the lines that were down. So that's why we know that they're saying it's a lines issue.
So the lines are on the physical ground?
Yes, in many places. Yes, in many places.
So it's not really because it's copper. So I'm former IT.
Okay.
I know, I'm not trying to, get anybody in a gotcha. It's just, all the wires are copper.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and
they're trying to, it sounds to me like they're using a term to trick people.
And they're doing it nationwide. Frontier is nationwide. If they're playing copper.
Irrelevant to one neighborhood in West Virginia.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many neighborhoods need something.
Mhm.
It's irrelevant to nationwide. That sounds like, oh, I have this giant problem. I can't be bothered with your 4 people.
Right.
And that's just BS.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
Right.
So they probably need to replace not just the line, they need to replace the equipment. And they don't want to they just don't want to pay the money.
Well,
and they're waiting for the grant to
Yeah.
give the government money. That's what it sounds like to me.
So like I said, we're working with Frontier trying to get those things corrected. We're working with other entities as well, not just Frontier, but several others that looked kind of in the area. So hopefully, moving forward, we can get those things corrected. All right, the other question I have here is actually a comment. This is Casey Stoniker, and her son has been dumb. And she's writing here, she said, I would like to briefly speak on the impact of the cuts to the IDD waiver program will have on my family. I am a single mom of an 18-year-old son. My son was diagnosed at the age of 3 with autism. He is nonverbal, and his diagnosis is considered profound, meaning he requires 24/7 care. We have a picture. The mother sent a picture. He's required 24/7 care, and she says I have been a primary caregiver for his entire life. Because of his needs, I must be at home with him. In turn, that means I cannot go to find a job. IDD waiver is our lifeline. If it is cut, I have no idea how I will be able to continue to support my son and our home if I'm forced to go home for work. It would cost more for a professional caregiver to come in than I would make. In reality, it wouldn't be possible. I hope these cuts happen. If these cuts happen, I hope that there is a plan for families like mine. If not, we will suffer tremendously. This next question is the Board of Education. And hopefully these bills are still there. The House Bill 2480 and House Bill 3387 to consolidate boards of education from 55, one for each county down to either 11 or 27 Board of Education. How will counties manage levy funding? How will sports and communities handle services like buses, occupational therapy, and other disability services? What will happen to free lunches currently based on the economic status of the county? Mr. Faley?
I'll try to for you a little bit since I'm down there in Charleston, probably more than most. Number one, don't believe everything you see on the news. That bill wasn't anywhere close to actually passing the legislature. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure that it ever will pass the legislature because of the political reality of it. So I want to go back to that thing about not believing everything you see on the news, and I'm not questioning the media, but I get down there. There's a lot of crazy stuff that comes up. And you're going to see it on the news, but it's not going to see really the light of day. So that happens a lot. Now some of it does, and I disagree with some of it, and I agree with some of it, but nevertheless, those bills were just not going to pass, and I don't see it passing in the foreseeable future. Now, what I do see potentially happening, and something that we all need to be really well aware of, if we're going to continue to provide or attempt to provide a good public education to all our children, is there could be special sessions on the horizon on the school aid formula. So things are changing with a lot of money going towards other priorities of the folks that are in charge. So school aid formula could change. That could impact us positively. On the other hand, it may not. So there's a lot of things that we better watch very, very carefully, and collectively as a community, for our children, we better make our voices heard down there as to how we feel about that. Now, some of this stuff isn't going to go away anytime soon. I mean, we come here and talk about the Hope Scholarship, talk about, school choice and that stuff. Right now, listen, that train's left the station. So we have to deal with it, and we have to move forward the best we can right now. But the bill to go down to 11, I got to tell you, school boards and the school boards collectively across the state. How about I put it like this? It's an 80-20 rule. So about 20% of them have been taken over by the state, by the Department of Education. So they have school board members like Johnny and Mike and I that have zero decision-making power at all. It's all done by the West Virginia Department of Education. So right now, school boards collectively aren't thought of as well as really they should be. I mean, I work with 4 other guys that are pretty hardworking guys that are trying to do what they can for the students first. We have 2, I'll say it like they told us at their first training. We have two people that we look out for: the children and the taxpayers. The children and the taxpayers. Those are the 2 people. But anyway, again, I don't think that bill will move to financial reality. Some point, I don't think it'll be in my lifetime. 55 counties. That was horse and buggy days. You think, Rod, that we're not going to have 55 counties? I don't think that's going to change, and I don't think it'll change with the school boards either. I went too long. Andrew.
I just had a comment. I've heard it a couple times tonight, and I hear it very regularly that, well, that bill didn't move, or that bill's not going anywhere. And I just think that, well, yes, it's not going anywhere, but that's the ideology plan for the people that we have chosen to elect in West Virginia. And so, and that doesn't mean it's not going to come back next year or the year after. And so, while yes, thank goodness it didn't move, we also have to ground ourselves in the fact that that is what they plan to do, that is what they want to do, and that is what they're going to continue to push to do unless we get someone else in office. Mr. Holden.
One thing I would like to say on this consolidation, that if it does happen, in my opinion, I think that it'll be done during the summer, when a lot of people are away and can't get to Charleston. So we really need to keep an eye on this, because here's the thing we've got going for us here in Lewis County. Thank goodness that we had the levy passed, and that has kept a lot of things going. Now, if this does happen, and Jimmy may be perfectly right, it may not happen, we've got to be on the lookout if it does. We're going to be one of the few counties that does have the levy, and that's one question I've already asked and am trying to get an answer to. That if this happens, here our levy's passed, and we get bunched in with 3 or 4 other counties that hasn't, what's going to happen to that money? So I think we definitely want to pay attention to this, because that's a lot of things that a lot of the children can't see and won't be able to go places if that money's taken away. And I do think that Charleston does need a little shakeup down there, and I think that if this happens and it does start moving, that we need to get as many people to Charleston that we can to try to stop this. So if anybody has any questions you want to talk to me after the meeting,
Thank
feel free
you.
to come up. Thank you.
Fantastic. We're going to do one more quick question, and then we're going to pick up some other speakers. So Amendment 4, this is also Board of Education. Amendment 4 was voted down by all West Virginians in 2022. House Bill 2755 was slipped in during the 11th hour, which completely undermined the will of the people to determine who controls the State Board of Education. Are you just blatantly disregard to what the people want for the state of West Virginia, who have voted down this before? Also, what are the local boards of education and unions doing to protect schools and children from political sides of their education?
So we voted in 2022 not to give the legislature control of West Virginia Department of Education. We voted no. In the 11th hour, they decided they didn't care what we voted for, and decided that they would have the final say in, the experts on education will have in what goes on. If you have children in public school or you work there, they're going to decide, because they do such a great job deciding everything else. Now they're going to decide, they're going to make the really important decisions with your children's education. And we voted no.
Can you tell what's amendment number, whatever you just said, sorry?
It was number 4 on the ballot. To give the legislature control, say, of anything from the West Virginia Department of Education. So they basically have to come to them and ask them, is this okay? Is this okay?
No.
Yes.
And it was House Bill 2755. 2755